I want to start off with
Good
China
morning,
here.
David.
It's underperformed these last couple of days. You compare it to EM, for example. These latest tensions, obviously, with index providers now coming out and removals of some of these stocks. Does that open up, in your view, more downside short term for Chinese equities?
Thank you, David, for having me. So I think in the short term, we could see some potential downside, and I think it's purely sentiment driven because China clearly is, the only economy which has actually grown in 2020. Even the outlook for the next year looks quite good. So I think it's more sentiment driven and which can play out in the shorter term. And that's one of the reasons that we are seeing, China underperforming some of the other emerging economies. But having said that, I think if you look at the valuations across the other EM economies, I think China is still reasonably priced, right? And most of the valuation metrics are still at least, around one standard deviation above the, historical means. So it's not very overbought. It's neither, extremely overcrowded, something like, say, what we are looking at in India or, for example, in Taiwan or in Australia. So I think all that put together, China should, do really well in the next year. So in the shorter term, yes, we can, see some downside.
Where would you want to be in the Chinese market? Because yes, as you mentioned, valuations are high, not statistically expensive. There's also record dispersion, though, within this market. So what is attractive?
Yeah, so I think, yes, there is record dispersion in the market. So everything in the market is not really cheap or expensive for that matter. So I think what we are looking at is that the high momentum and high growth names are extremely expensive. So in some cases, they are more than 5 standard deviation above the historical mean, whereas, value continues to remain historically cheap. So I think what we are looking at is clearly tactically positioning towards value and cyclical stocks. And we believe that with the vaccine development, cyclical stocks should do well. And that is the trade that we are really recommending tactically.